At this time of year, and especially in the colder months, my number one bait for fishing for F1s and small carp is definitely maggots. But it's not quite as simple as just going to a venue and feeding maggots. There's 2 or 3 different ways you can feed your maggots for different venues and different situations and different water temperatures. I'll just run you through my favourite 3. So first of all, we've got the traditional sprinkling maggots. So I've got a sprinkle lid on my pot. So you fill your pot up with maggots. You put your sprinkle lid on, turn your pot over and literally sprinkle them in. Now this works brilliant when the water's really cold, from water temperatures from 4 to about 8 degrees. That works really well. And what you can do is you can actually just count your maggots in, so you can be really consistent on how much you're feeding every cast. Another brilliant way of feeding maggots, which has worked absolutely amazing today, is actually feeding maggots exactly the same, but just adding a punch of ground bait. So what you do, you get an 8mm bait punch, a little bit of crushed expander. I push the bait punch into the ground bait, into the crushed expander, and then pop it out, and you're left with a little punch of ground bait. Now putting that into your cup with about 10 to 15 maggots works absolutely brilliant. This works exceptionally well when the water's just starting to rise in temperature. So when the water's about 7, 8, 10 degrees, this works brilliant. So February, March time, when it's all starting to warm up, that works really well. And lastly, the other way of feeding it, which works absolutely fantastic, is sometimes when you go to these venues where the fish want to eat maggots, but there's lots of other fish, say like Whiteacres and venues like that, where there's lots of other roach, a method called dipping works brilliant. So actually fill the kinder pot up, literally get out to where the distance that I'm fishing, tip the whole pot over and release the whole pot of maggots. So you're probably putting in an excess of about 100 to 125 maggots. That works brilliant if you're getting bitted out by small fish. 3 great ways of feeding maggots, different venues, different situations, different water temperatures. You pick the right one, you'll catch a load of fish. One great other little tip I got for you: when I'm out on the bank, I see a lot of people with their kinder pots too far down the end of the pole. The last thing you want to be doing is putting your rig right at the end of the pole and then feeding your bait 4 to 5 inches back. Just a little bit of electrical tape about 1 inch back from the very tip of the pole, and that will just allow you to just put your pot on within 1 inch of the end of the pole, just making sure you're fishing really accurately. So 3 great ways of feeding. Get your pot on the right position on the pole and you'll catch loads of fish. Right, so I'll talk you through the rig. To start off with, we've got a size 18 MVR maggot hook. Now this is a perfect size hook for this time of year for hooking double maggot. It's got a nice wide gape hook, so you're not going to get your maggots spin round to go round the point, but it's also not too big that the fish are going to see it and not pick up your hook bait. The hook length itself is 5 inches long. It's an 010 MVR hook length mono. Then just at the top of the loop of my main line, I've got my first dropper, which is a number 9. And then 7 inches above that, I've got my bulk, which is another 4 number 9s. And I've just got some number 11 trimmers just above that, so I can get my float dotted right down, or just getting it to see it a little bit easier, but having a bit more bristle showing. The main line itself is 016 MVR mono line. The float itself is just a nice slim float. 1.5mm hollow bristle, 0.8 carbon, so it's quite sturdy, quite stable in the wind. The elastic itself is a 6 to 9 dual core hollow elastic, and today we're using long top kits because we are actually fishing at a limit of 16 meters, so I wanted the extra length rather than using a short top kit. But all round a nice balanced rig. You're going to get loads of bites fishing fine hook lengths and hooks, so yeah, all round balanced rig's going to catch you loads of fish. What tends to happen on these commercials at this time of year is the fish that you're fishing for when you're fishing long are fish that aren't really feeding. So just tapping in a few maggots or just a little punch of ground bait with just a few maggots can work amazing. But at the later part of the day, when you start to catch on your close line, your 5-6 meter line, you really can feed it in a totally different way. When the fish move onto this line, they really want to feed aggressive, so you can throw your bait. What I tend to try and do is when I come onto this line, I'll put my rig in, I'll throw 10 maggots twice and try and get a bite. If you can't get a bite, you can repeat the process. So I'll flick my rig out like that, so my float's just past my pole tip. I'll pick my first lot up of 10 maggots, try and throw that right round your float, pick another lot of 10 maggots there and throw it in again. Try and be as accurate as possible, When the fish are really feeding and being aggressive, this line can be a match winner. So there we go. And one other great little tip I got for you is that I feed my maggots twice out my hand. Once I've hooked one, I'll feed a third time. Now what that does, that brings back fish that have been spooked out of your peg by the fish that you've hooked. By feeding 3 times like that, you're being nice and consistent, you're being nice and aggressive. So when the fish really want to feed, this is the line to be on. And what you will find with this line as well, compared to the fish across, they will be a bigger stamp. So you can drop in on this line and you can catch 30, 40, 50 pounds in the last hour, and it can be the difference between coming third, fourth in the match or winning. So be nice and aggressive on this line. Feed your maggots by hand over a little bit of an area, which will keep the fish coming in. And I can assure you, you'll have a great day.